Okay, we had another question, and it's similar to one that I had for you as well. So we are just coming out of this election time, which will undoubtedly have really significant consequences for people's happiness, no matter what the results will be. Um, how is happiness to be found, especially for those who might find themselves in a group that has been historically underrepresented or historically oppressed? Um, where it's not just a matter of uncertainty or sitting with hard emotions, it's a matter of safety and
Yeah.
security. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I think it is an important qualification to one thing I said, which is, I often talk about this idea that, you know, happiness doesn't necessarily come from our circumstances, right? We think we have to change our circumstances. We need a new job or higher salary to get happier. That's not typically the case. And I see that knowing the audiences I'm often talking about, right? I'm guessing, I'm talking to a group of youth ministers, like most of you have a roof over your head, I assume. Most of you have reasonable pay. Like most of you, if you changed your circumstances, it wouldn't affect your happiness that much. But that's not true to all the audiences I talk to, right? If you are in an abusive situation, if you don't have a roof over your head, if you can't put food on the table, then your circumstances do matter. You need a kind of reasonable amount of like salary and safety to have circumstances that will protect you, right? And I think that's really important to kind of make clear. So, if you're working with students who are in that position, work on those circumstances first because they do matter, right? Like we really need to solve those situations so that everybody will be at the kind of baseline that many of us are at. The key though is that once you're at that baseline, then a lot of the suffering can be like self-created in a lot of ways, right? My Yale students' main stressors are that they're incredibly time famished because they're taking on so many extracurriculars that they're so time strapped they hate them all, or they are so deeply worried about their grades when like you're at Yale, if you got B pluses, literally no one's going to care, right? And so it's trying to make sure that it is not the case that no circumstances matter. Definitely a lot of them do, but we need to pay attention when the ones we're really worried about aren't the ones that are going to affect our happiness. Another thing to say is you asked about kind of marginalized communities and what they're really facing right now. I think that that comes with a special kind of uncertainty and anxiety and fear because it also comes with a lot of unfairness, right? When Black individuals are looking at this election, they're seeing it in a way that will potentially affect their lives and their safety in a way than many white Americans are looking at this election. If you're an LGBTQ person, you're looking at this election and the possibility of switching your rights around in a way that must be incredibly scary, right? And so I think that in many of those cases, those emotions are deeper and richer and more, the negative emotions are like more urgent and more scary. They also come with like a deep sense of social injustice. One of the things we know predicts happiness cross-culturally is just a sense of fairness, like an equality, income inequality and equality in all kinds of different domains. One of the reasons that the United States, which is an incredibly wealthy nation, is not a very happy nation is because we have so much inequality. You can look to nations that are way less rich than us, but more equal. Like, so a lot of people don't have a lot and they tend to be a lot happier. And so that kind of inequality is a special hit on our well-being, especially from if you're from a marginalized group that's facing the inequality head on. And so I think for those groups, though, I think the key is to help them see that there are strategies they can use to feel better. We need to like be fighting the injustices at the same time as we're giving ourselves the self-care resources to do this stuff. And so one misconception that often happens is, when I talk about this stuff, you say, well, you're just telling people to like, write down what they're grateful for and meditate, but like, don't you think we should also like stop the injustices? I'm like, oh yeah, like, that needs to come first. Like, I didn't say that because I thought we were all on the same page, right? But yes, definitely we need to fight that stuff first. But what I think is true and what a lot of activists have echoed is that to do that, you need some bandwidth, right? Like you need to put your own oxygen mask on first. And these are strategies you can really use to do that. I think it was Audre Lorde, who I'm going to badly paraphrase, noted that self-care is a political act, like it is an act of political activism, and that's because it gives you the kind of strength and resilience to fight all the other stuff later.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a countercultural act of resilience and resistance to the status quo and to the oppressive regimes thereof. Yeah.